Now, the second major development, right, which has particularly increased tensions between Somalia and Ethiopia, specifically in regards to Puntland, right, the northeastern region which you find in Somalia, is the fact that Somalia accuses Ethiopia of smuggling weapons into Puntland, right? The tensions increased to a point where Somalia expelled the Ethiopian ambassador, which was stationed in Mogadishu, right? This occurred towards the end of September, particularly between the 25th and 26th of September 2024. Now, these tensions, particularly of the smuggling of weapons of Ethiopia into Puntland, right, comes in the backdrop of a military deal signed between um, Egypt and Somalia, right? This military deal particularly stated that Egypt will send weapons and troops to Somalia, right, to assist them with the fight against the Islamic extremist terrorist group known as Al Shabaab, right? Now, the Egypt sent weapons to Somalia, particularly towards the end of August. I think, to be exact, I think on the 30th of August, 2024, right? So, Ethiopia basically smuggling weapons, right, was a result of Somalia and Egypt signing a military deal, right, to basically um, number one, send troops and weapons to Somalia, right? Particularly, they'll be sending troops in January 2025, right? Now, as we all know, currently in Somalia, there are about 10,000 Ethiopian troops, right, assisting with the fight. They are there as peacekeepers assisting with the fight against Al Shabaab, right? So now Somalia wants to basically kick out the Ethiopian troops who were there under the guise of UN peacekeepers, right? And substitute their soldiers with the Egyptian soldiers. Now, I mentioned that the Ethiopian troops, the 10,000 Ethiopian troops that are there, are under the peacekeeping mission of the UN. It's not particularly the UN, but the AU, the African Union. Now, when we look deep into the history of these tensions which have developed between Ethiopia and Somalia, right, we must go back to the early parts of 2024, right, particularly in January, when Ethiopia signed a deal with a de facto independent state in Somalia known as a Somaliland, right? So Somaliland and Ethiopia signed a deal, right, stating that Somaliland will give the access to the commercial access to Ethiopia to their beaches, right, or the sea, right? Now Ethiopia has been struggling to actually access a place where they can actually put in their military sea operations, right? Their naval bases, right? And some of their commercial bases to actually push trade with the international world, right? Now, because of this deal signed between Somaliland and Ethiopia, this basically started the tensions between Somalia and Ethiopia, right? Because Ethiopia, after signing the deal, stated that if they allow them access to their uh, beaches, right, or the access to the sea via Somaliland, that they will be the first country in the world to recognize Somaliland as an independent state. Currently, Somaliland is not recognized by the international community as an independent country, right? But they are recognized as part of Somalia. So the deal which was signed between Ethiopia and Somaliland started the tensions between Ethiopia and Somalia. Now, because of this deal signed between Ethiopia and Somaliland, Somalia went on to sign a military deal, particularly with Egypt, right, and Turkey, right? They signed a deal with Turkey to actually help them develop their naval sea military abilities, right? To particularly help them fight against the Somali pirates or the illegal piracy which is occurring on the coastline of Somalia, right? Now, Turkey currently, right, is assisting to develop the naval power of Somalia, right? And Turkey has been playing a mediation role between Somalia and Ethiopia, right? There had been about 3 rounds of talks which were mediated by particularly Turkey, but they seem to have failed, right? So the second deal, as I have mentioned, was signed between Egypt and Somalia in regards to Egypt bringing in weapons, right? Giving them weapons to be able to fight Al Shabaab, right? And also sending troops on Somali soil to particularly help combat the Al Shabaab group, right? Now, currently, who's fighting the Al Shabaab group are Ethiopian soldiers under the AU as as a peacekeeping mission. There's about 10,000 Ethiopian troops, right, in which their stay will expire at the end of this year, right, the end of 2024. Now, in regards to Somaliland, right, after Somaliland and Ethiopia signed a deal for Somaliland to give Ethiopia access to their coastline, right, Somaliland started to um, expel, right, or shut down, yes, that's the proper word, to shut down Egyptian cultural centers which you find in Somaliland, right? They went to a point to also tell the staff to actually leave the country, which actually shows the tensions which exist between the two regions, Somaliland and Puntland, right, with Somalia, right? So Somaliland and Puntland seems as if they are aligning in themselves with the Ethiopian government.